So, we have been going through great games in chess history, and we started with Morphy and Anderson, and then we went to one of the first systematic players in chess history with Nimzovich and went through a number of his games. Now we're making it to the first player that's really credited with making chess professional in Botvinnik, the father of the Soviet chess school. And Botvinnik had a longevity as a player, which is just unbelievable considering how modern chess is dominated by essentially people in their 20s. So let's take a look at a few of his games over the next few videos. And we're going to start with this one from 1935. And already Botvinnik, he mostly was playing the English and solid systems throughout his career. But here he gave his opponent the opportunity to play, backwards Benonis and things of that nature. But his opponent just wanted, a simple position. But Botvinnik wanted to go a little bit off the beaten path. And I find it interesting when looking at the games of the players, say, sub-1960 or so, because the openings, for the most part, weren't that good. I mean, you'd look at a player like Fischer, and we're going to go through a number of Fischer games. Mostly it's because personally I haven't gone through a lot of Fischer's games, and I think it's something that all chess players should do. But Fischer, it just seemed like when he was playing against a lot of the other contemporary grandmasters of the day of the United States, he's the only player to perfect score the U.S. Championship. So when looking at those games, he was just beasting the field, and it looked like the other grandmasters he was playing against couldn't play an opening. And he would just be so winning out of the opening. He was so razor-sharp accurate, he'd put people away. It wasn't the case, really, until players like Botvinnik was like, okay, this is how you study, this is the lifestyle you have, this is what you eat, this is what you do, this is how you think, this is, making it systematic. So that's why I have a lot of respect for the Patriarch. So let's get to the meat of the game. And I mean, like we talked about before, guys, you have both sides doing what they need to be doing, maintaining a pawn in the center, castling, and develop both sets of knights and bishops. So a6. Notice how black still has not developed this bishop on c8. Probably b6, bishop b7 would be a lot more pertinent in the position. And Botvinnik plays knight d4. And this is kind of awkward. Not quite sure what the plan is. I mean, if black played c5 here, your knight's just going to have to move away. But black decides to take. And then Botvinnik plays f4. And this is kind of a weird-looking position. And when looking at this game, I was like, I've been looking through lists of games online to try to find ideas for these videos. And it's like, well, how is this considered one of his best games? But like all great players, they make it through the opening, and if they've got an equal position, that's when you see their true strength come out. c5, knight e5, and when I got to this position, I was like, oh, okay, this is reminiscent of the E3 Slav, one of the main lines that's recommended by Boris of Rook in his great series, Grandmaster Repertoire series for white on how to play d4. I'm like, okay, so this makes a lot of sense. White's got some aggressive intentions to play rook f3, swing a rook over. The queen and bishop are already attacking here. He's got a knight attacking here. And if this pawn ever moves up, the bishop. So you can already see that the general plan and theme is going to be for white to attack the black king, just by how everybody's kind of angling in the position. Bishop b7, black's finally completed development. It only took him 17 moves. Queen e2, getting ready to swing the queen over for more devastating effect. Knight d1. All right, got to protect that d-pawn. So his rook was attacking the pawn there. Rook a7. Swinging this knight around to where he gets to an effective square. And his opponent's like free. So he sacrifices one piece to attack a knight and to open up a file for his rook to be able to attack. So the guy's ready to sacrifice the piece back. And Botvinnik's like, nah, that's okay. I think I'm going to wreck your position now. And I'm just going to mate you. King takes. So he sacrificed both knights, so he better have something here. G6, check. King goes back. Check. Check. And notice if you're in check, you can't do anything but react to the check. Most forcing moves. That's how, like, when you get that classical question that strong chess players get, typically from non-chess players, like, how many moves can you see ahead? It's a normal question that people get, but honestly, the answer is it depends. It depends on the type of position that you have. And in this position, I bet Botvinnik could see quite far into the position, because if it's check, there's only a limited number of ways to get out of check, so we're going to be able to calculate it and see the end. So he goes bishop f5, and this seems pretty logical. He wants to play bishop e6, and after king f8, queen h8, the knight blocks. I take the knight with mate. So that's a straightforward calculation. Not too hard to see. I mean, you guys can see it once I point it out, right? Okay? So knight f8, it's obvious. He protects that square in order to prevent that idea. So Botvinnik does it anyway. Check. Check. Now, if king f8, I'm going to play queen f7 mate. So, you got to get out of check. So king h8. Well, now, back to checks. And here, if only we could check him on the square, but his knight is covering. So, let's remove that guy too. Check. And now, if I play queen h8, his king's going to be able to run. So if only I had a piece that specializes in taking away all these squares. I do. And how much is material? Remember, guys, we've talked about 3 advantages in chess: time, material, and quality. White has amazing quality with his pieces. They're doing everything. His rook and queen are amazing in this position. But black has a ton of material. If you're not keeping attacking, the extra material is just going to win the game. Bishop e5. He tries to disconnect. Check. Check. Oh, this is nice. Check. 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 Mate. It's always pleasing, right? Because you guys are at the level that you see a game like this and you know how hard it is to have to play. And when he's sacrificing these pieces, you know he had to calculate this in advance, because a professional player, they're not going to just sacrifice on a whim. They're going to know in most cases. And I will tell you, there's some sacrifices that I played in my games. I didn't have enough time to calculate it, but I knew objectively that I was worse unless I did it. So I'm going to play this move that's going to change the character of the position, sacrifice, shake it up, and maybe make my opponent nervous, because there's always that human element, and someone can go wrong. The other games that we're going to look at from Botvinnik are typically going to be positional style games, to where he just uses all the elements of chess and just squeezes somebody into nothing. So this was kind of a rare game, as Botvinnik just bashed his opponent. And Botvinnik's going to take us into the Fischer era, as we're moving from the 1930s to basically 1970 with Fischer. And then after that, we're going to go to the modern games with the 90s, 2000s, etc.